Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today I have Erika joining me. Hi, Erika.
Hi, Amanda. Hi, everybody.
Hey guys, we have an exciting video, how to turn a situationship into a committed relationship. So if you're in a situation where you're friends with benefits and you're just not getting to the next step, we're going to talk about how you can actually take that to the next step. I'll share some of my personal journey, and Eric has got a lot of examples on how, different scenarios and how you can change them around. But just before we dive into it, guys, we're having a contest. We get to 100,000 subscribers. We're giving away some coaching sessions. Details is in the description below, as well as Erica's got a course. If you are looking to manifest somebody new, she's got a course on how to manifest a new specific person. And I have a course out on how to create the relationship you love. So yeah, and Erica's having a sale on coaching, guys. So definitely check out the link in the description below. So awesome. Yeah, welcome, Erika.
Thanks, Amanda. It's always so much fun chatting with you.
I know, right?
So the first thing about how to change a situationship, right? What is a situationship? It's that they're not really giving you full commitment, correct? So I think the first thing that we need to remember is that the other person is only reflecting my thoughts back to me, right? What am I thinking of myself? What am I thinking about them? What am I thinking about relationship in general, right? So knowing that, what is it that they're telling you? One of the most usual scenarios, right, when we are just in a situationship is because the other person is telling us, well, I just don't want a commitment right now. If that's what the other person is telling you and that is not what you want, and you want the committed relationship, say, okay, from now on this person wants a commitment with me. Why? Because I'm way different than anyone else that they have dated, right? They see how special I am, and because of that they want that commitment,
Right.
period. Because, and if that's what you're thinking, that they're thinking, that's what they have to think. Another scenario that is very common, usually people that do not want commitment, is because they have that emotional baggage from previous relationships, right? They're afraid, like, okay, I don't want to commit a relationship because in the past I've been hurt. So if that's what the other person is telling you, I don't want a commitment because I had a bad relationship in the past or relationships in the past, assume that with you they feel safe. What happens when you feel safe with someone? You're like, I'm staying with this one because I know they will never hurt me. This person will never do what the other ones did, right? So because of that, I want a commitment with her or with him or whatever. So change whatever they're telling you, everything negative that they're telling you, change it into the story that you do want to manifest, because it's your reality. You call the shots.
Exactly. And that's actually exactly what my story was with Andrew. And I've talked about this before. As I remember years ago when I was younger, I said, me and my girlfriend were talking, and I'm like, yeah, guys that are previously married, they got baggage. They don't want to commit. They're over it. Right. Yeah. And I had great relationships all throughout my life. And I always was the one that like sort of dumped the boyfriend because I was like, oh, enough or whatever. I was just like done with what I was creating there. But so it was always my choice. Right. But they were always willing to commit to me until basically what happened was when I got older, I started obviously now finding guys that were older that were previously married. So one guy I was dating for 7 years, okay, because he was previously married, and I didn't realize that I had created that assumption about guys that were previously married. I completely forgot about it. So I struggled with that 7-year relationship, and I said, forget it. I'm not doing that either. I'm like, that's okay. If he doesn't want to commit, that's fine. And I was like, so then I was like, but I also wanted someone a little bit better, like a little bit, like he wasn't like a professional lawyer. He was just like a painter, and he was like, I wanted a different personality, and I wanted somebody that was a little bit different than him, because I was just like kind of over it as well. So then I was like, I'm a creator, I'm manifesting someone new. In walks Andrew, which is great. Checks off. And actually I did what Erika says in her course, how to manifest someone new, got a list, made up all the characteristics, and he walked into my life and chased me to a T. But he chased me only to the point where it came to commitment. And I remember one day when I wanted to move in with him, I said, it was a Sunday, I made dinner. I was like, do you want to move in with me? And he was like, no. And I was like, oh my God, why? And he's like, he's like, I've already been there. I've already done that. I've been previously married. It didn't work out. I don't want to do that again. And I've already been there, done that. And I started crying and I was like, oh my goodness. So then I pretty much almost dumped him. But then I'm like, no, that's throwing out the baby with the bathwater. And obviously I've got some kind of block with, guys that were previously married. So I basically said to him, I was like, no, it's okay. You know what? I like the relationship the way it is. And we continued. And then for the next 5 days, I really turned inward and I went, you know what? That's funny. The previous guy said he was married and he had baggage and didn't want to get together. And now this guy's saying the same thing. I'm like, but every other guy that I was in a relationship with that wasn't married had no problem committing to me. So then I thought, is that a me problem or is that a problem about my assumption of other people? Mainly men that were previously married. And then I figured it out with Andrew. I put, the 2 and 2 together and I did the work. And for 5 days I went, no, he's over his baggage and he's ready to move in with me. He's over his baggage. He's ready to move in with me. And then I thought, oh, where are we going to move? I said, it doesn't matter. We'll get a new place. I just really want to hear him say he wants to commit to me. And then sure enough, 5 days later, we were sitting in a restaurant having lunch and we were looking at condos for him actually, and not for us, for him, after he said he didn't want to live with me. And we were kind of taking, I was going along for the ride because I wanted to be with him. And, the whole time I was pretending that we were looking together, in my mind, but really, it wasn't, because he was looking at all these 65 plus or 55 plus places and I wasn't 55 plus. So obviously I couldn't live there, but I kept my cool all day and I kept on my mental diet, even though my reality was showing me something I really didn't want. And then at lunch, I was just sitting there and I was on my phone. I was actually answering YouTube comments. And all of a sudden he was like, you know what? I said, what? He goes, you're not crazy. I'm like, well, I know that. And he's like, I actually want to move in with you. I want to live with you. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. And I was like, excuse me. I got up, I went to the bathroom and I started screaming and jumping like a little girl. And I composed myself and I came back out and I was like, okay, great. I'm like, awesome. I'm like, so where are we going to live? And then that whole day shifted where when we started to look at the rest of the places he wanted to look at, he was now talking about us being in them. And that's what I was doing the whole day. I was like, before he asked me to move in, I was like, that's going to be my closet and I'll put my stuff there. And, and I wasn't even though he would say, well, do you think this is good for me? I would just block that out. And I'd be like, no, he's saying us, really? Really, so, when we find out what our block is and we really and change that story, and I changed it to he's over his baggage and he wants to be with me.
Exactly. And something super important that you did right there, you did not react to the current circumstances that were showing you the opposite story, the story that you didn't want. Because when he told you, I don't want to move in with you, you did not react. You didn't start thinking, oh, he doesn't want to live with me. This is not going anywhere. Right? Because if that's where your focus was, you were going to keep recreating that reality where he doesn't want to move in with me.
Exactly. And also too, right? It's kind of okay, when we say to someone, I did react a little bit because he said, well, you know what? I don't want to move in with you. And then I was like, okay, well then what are we doing? And in that moment I had that, well, fine, I'm going to break up with you until you decide that you want to be with me. I had that moment, but I was like, wait a minute. I thought, I started crying and he's like, do you really want me to leave? And I'm like, no, I don't want you to leave. And then I realized, I'm like, do I want to be with him or do I just want a commitment with anybody? And I was like, no, I actually want to be with him. And I created him not to be ready. So I'm going to accept that because we can't say, look at, if you don't want a commitment, then I'm not even going to talk to you until you change your mind. That's living from the end of not having a commitment. That's living from the end. That's throwing the baby out with the bathwater and just throw out the water, keep the baby, So, whoever you're dealing with, it's I know you want the commitment, but don't do the ultimatum. Don't put the screws to them. Don't, say, well, that's it. I'm not going to even see you until you decide to commit, because that's basically living from the end of rejection. That's living from the end that they don't want to commit. You got to live from the end that they do want to commit. So the end that they do want to commit is, okay, well, they do want to be with me. And we're in this situationship, or we're in this friends with benefits because they want to turn this into a relationship. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And what you did was to go within and you started thinking, this is what's happening. This is what he wants. This is what he's doing. And he did it, right?
Exactly. In 5 days, I couldn't believe it. And then guess when it happened? Okay. The next, I'm putting in my notice. The next thing, I'm moving, and it happened so fast. It was completely overnight. And he even came over and helped me pack and clean the apartment and all these other things. Like I actually seen him clean a stove. It was so cute. So, and
But that's a perfect example of everyone as you pushed out. You told him what to do, what to think, what you
exactly.
want, which was to move in with you.
Right.
Period.
Exactly. And it took me taking responsibility for the story I was creating, either about myself or about him. So in my situation, I always had the story that I'm a perfect girlfriend. So it wasn't, a self-concept because I had so many successful relationships. In my situation, it was definitely assumption of people that were previously married. That was the problem. So everybody's going to have something a little bit different based on your past experience. Or in my case, I just said it casually over a drink with my best friend like 20 years earlier, and it came back. It was like, really? But that's how thoughts stay in play and wait for their time to come. That's why we need to dig in and release and go over that whole entire old story and change it to new intentions, because we need to revisit it. It stays in play, right?
Exactly. And then something else that is very common when people are in situationships. Let's say that the person calls them at 2 a.m. Hey, do you want to come over? They are afraid of saying no because they're afraid if I say no, even though I don't want a situationship, even though I want commitment, if I say no, he's just going to leave me. He's going to lose interest. So what are you thinking? That the person doesn't want anything to do with me other than just a casual thing, right? And they're going to leave me. So you have to let go of that fear of rejection and abandonment. Say no, like if I don't want that, I'm going to say no. But the next time he's going to text me or call me or message me is going to be because he wants to see me early enough. He's going to plan a date because that's what he wants with me.
Right. Exactly. To accept everything that comes into our reality as if we created it and be thankful for it, even if we don't like it. But I'm not saying you have to, have them come over at 2 a.m. If you don't want to, you don't want to, or you're tired, whatever.
Or if you want to, it's okay. But
and if you want to, it's okay. But again, not to think that someone's doing something to you. You know what I mean? Like, plain and simple, it's like, it kind of like, when I think about it, right? Like, sometimes I stay up late and Andrew goes to bed early, right? And I crawl in bed at 2 a.m. It'd be funny if he was like, you only come into bed late. You know what I mean? It's about, it's not creating that story. So if they do call you at 2 a.m., create the meaning that they want to see you, and because they want to be with you and they want a relationship, and be thankful that they've even reached out, and create that story around it rather than the situationship, right? It's all about the story you're holding. Yeah.
And don't be afraid of asking for more, because again, a lot of people are afraid of like, well, if I ask for more, he's just gonna be like, oh, I'm not interested, and he's gonna stop talking to me. Right. He's not gonna want to see me anymore. No, it's safe for me to ask for more, to ask exactly for what I want, and that person is more than willing to give it to me, because who wouldn't? Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Another thing that is important in situationships, if you really, look at the big picture, what are they doing? They're just giving you breadcrumbs. Stop thinking that it's okay for you to get breadcrumbs when you don't want that. Tell yourself, from now on, I will get what I want in abundance. No more breadcrumbs of attention, of text messages, or no, I get what I want in abundance because I'm deserving of it. And I can ask for it.
Exactly. That's exactly what Erika's saying, is that don't even look at it like breadcrumbs. Look at it like they're giving you what you want. And when you get those little things that we're going to consider breadcrumbs, say, no, this is leading to more. This is going to be more, right? I deserve it. And he is giving it to me, or she is giving it to me, right? It's all about changing that story. The only reason why I was in a situation where I wasn't going to have someone commit is because I had an assumption, and I needed to change that assumption. And there wasn't any amount of talking to him, crying or anything that I could have done in the 3D that would have changed until I changed in here. Right.
Exactly. And then something else that happens a lot. Sometimes we are the ones that are afraid to be in a relationship. We want the relationship, but we are afraid to be in a relationship, maybe because we have experienced rejection or, pain in previous relationships. Tell yourself, from now on, I'm not afraid of relationships. If I want the relationship, I'm open for it, because why am I not afraid of relationships anymore? Because I'm consciously creating those loving, safe relationships with my thoughts, right? Let go of that fear. And letting go of that fear is important because if I know that I'm consciously creating what I want right now, where's the fear? Fear of what? If I know what's going to happen in the near future, let go of the fear and allow yourself to have that loving, committed relationship. If you want it, it's yours.
It's so funny you say that. I use that for everything. Whenever I'm like getting really worried about anything, I'm like, I sit down and I'm like, Amanda, you know, your thoughts create. You've done this before. You're going to do it again. What are you worried about? And I'm like, you know, I think to myself, I'm like, you're right. I'm like, all I need to do is think it and I can have it. And, you know, just bringing yourself back to that realization, those moments will just calm any anxiety. And then, you know, you're like, no, I'm good to go. I got this. And then put some attention towards what you actually want to create, right?
Exactly. And I see that a lot of people are like, well, I'm afraid that he's not going to text me. I'm afraid that he's not interested in me. I'm afraid. Let go of that fear. Knowing that I'm the conscious creator of my reality. And in the now moment with what I'm thinking, I'm creating that future. So what am I afraid of?
Exactly. He's you pushed out. There's nothing to be afraid of. You know, everything's going to come. So, you know, sure, you know what? I mean, we all have it where, you know, we've had like a few negative thoughts and they pop up. But the thing is not to be scared of them, to be happy. Okay, they came through, they reflected back. Great. I'm going to change it because just as easily as those got created, you can change them. You know, the name of the game here is not to be worried about what shows up and be, you know, it's just to take it as feedback and go, okay, guess what? I'm changing it. Right. You know, I remember, you know, I used to talk to people and, you know, that were manifesting somebody and they were like, oh, last night he said he wanted to be with me. And then all of a sudden this morning he didn't. Like it changes that quick, right? You know, and then, now he says he wants to again, because at the minute you shift, they shift. And then when you shift, they shift. So you're in control of this. There's nothing to be scared of. You know, if you need more to build your belief in everyone as you pushed out, do the list of little things. Like, so funny yesterday, so I went grocery shopping and I bought these crackers and I forgot to buy the cream cheese. Well, I had cream cheese, but it went moldy and I didn't realize that until after I got home. So I was like, oh, I really want these crackers. So anyways, my mom texted me yesterday. She's like, do you need anything from the store? And I'm like, no, that's fine. I was like, I wasn't going to get her just to go grab me cream cheese. So I said, no, we got everything here. It's fine. And she said, okay. And then all of a sudden she came over with 2 tubs of cream cheese. She was like, oh, she's like, I was just in the store. And I was like, oh, okay. So like so everyone's you pushed out. And I was like, look at that. Cream cheese. I didn't even tell her either. Like she gave me an option. She says, I'm going to the store. Do you need anything? And I said, no. And I thought afterwards, cream cheese would be nice, but I didn't say anything to her about it. And then she showed up with it anyway. So, you know, that's the beauty of it, right? Like, you know, create that little list of these little things. Like I'm telling you, after the cream cheese incident yesterday, I feel invincible. Like I can create anything. You know what I mean?
Exactly, because a lot of people say, well, I can manifest the little things, but not the big things, like the cup of coffee, but manifesting a phone call from my specific person is difficult. Everything is the same. Abraham Hicks say that manifesting a castle is the same thing as manifesting a button. They're both the same, but you're giving it the assumption that one thing is easy, the other one's difficult. No, just the same way that you're manifesting simple things, you can also manifest everything else that you want. The phone calls, the relationship, the commitment, whatever you want, the money, it's all the same. So stop giving it the assumption that is difficult. No, everything is easy for me to manifest.
Exactly. And that is my assumption. Like when I do that little list and little things like that show up, I just go, Amanda, you know what? Smarten up. Get on your thoughts. You know, everyone is you pushed out. It's just the reminder I need, you know, and that is my assumption that everything is just as easy to manifest. It's just my thoughts. My thoughts just need to be in check to a point, not even 100%, but at least 80%. You know what I mean? Enough where, you know, if we do enough intentions and a mental diet, we feel neutral and we feel that satisfaction of, yeah, you know what, it's coming. And that's what you're talking yourself into. So a lot of the times when you're creating, you know, things that you want, getting to a commitment, it's not just going to be one specific intention. It's going to be a sum total of a number of thoughts that you've shifted enough of the story to relieve that anxiety in you, right? So, you know, it's not always one.
Exactly. And also going back to self-concept, that we know it's extremely important. Who are you thinking that you're not getting the commitment? Instead of thinking, I'm always rejected, no one wants a committed relationship, no one wants to date me, stop that type of thinking assume that who wouldn't want to date me, who I want wants me, who I want commits to me and they stay. I'm that important. I'm that special that people want to commit to me. But who I want wants to commit to me, because otherwise you're going to have all these people wanting to commit to you, but not the one you want, right?
Right. Exactly. Work on clearing out, that specific story, because, we can create, like for instance, with Andrea, I did create he had baggage, but I could have created other things too. I could have created that I'm not the type of girl he wants. And actually I did create that I was like, that he thought I was too young. And then I thought, well, like, because we got 20 years difference, I thought, what older guy doesn't want the younger woman? And then that story went away. You know what I mean? So, it's what assumptions are you giving that particular scenario, in there, right? I don't even know why I thought that, because I always thought that the older guy loves the younger girl. And I have no idea how I created that, but it popped up and I was like, no, what am I crazy? No, that's not my belief. This is my belief. Right?
Exactly. So yeah, it's just, kind of analyze, what am I thinking of myself? If this is happening, what am I thinking of myself, right? If I'm thinking that no one commits to me, I change that into, of course, everyone that I want commits to me. Or what am I thinking about the other person, right? If there's something negative that you're thinking about the other person, change it. Or then go a step above. What am I thinking about men or women in general? That, there's that assumption that, well, now with social media, they don't want anything serious because they have so many options. No, change it into the people that I attract into my life. They're not into that. They are people that are emotionally available. They're ready for commitment, right? Because that's who I am. So who I want has to want me and commit to me. I'm not attracting the people that just want, situationships or give me breadcrumbs. And then you can go a step above. What am I thinking about relationships in general? That some people have the fear that relationships eventually just turn into hate, or relationships eventually turn toxic. So because of that, you have the fear and you're like, oh, I'd rather not to be in one. No, assume that relationships are safe, loving, they last forever. Why? Because I'm consciously creating them with my thoughts and my reality. This is what happens.
That's true. And, even if you've had past experiences where relationships haven't worked out, if you create that, what, relationships always work out for you, the other person will align to that. You'll automatically align from that and into that. And that's what will actually happen, and you'll even surprise yourself. You're like, wow, I remember I spoke with somebody and they said relationships never work out for me. I can never have what I want. So, to change that, I can have what I want. Relationships always work out for me. I'm good enough to have this, and it is going to happen. It's happening now. In fact, they want to talk to me, right? I guess the other thing too, right, is like, ask yourself, are you ready for the commitment? Because sometimes we could be scared of the commitment itself. We don't, want to know. So like Erika already said, go through the whole thing. Like, why are you scared of the commitment? Change that story around,
Yeah, I remember growing up, I think I mentioned that before, like my relationship with my parents wasn't the greatest. I remember seeing them fight all the time. So I grew up saying, I'm never going to get married. I don't want that. And even like when I was a teenager, I didn't want to have boyfriends because I was afraid of that. So I had to let go of that story, right? And tell myself, I am ready to have a loving, committed relationship, because relationships are safe, because relationships are harmonious, or right, that who I want respects me, loves me, commits to me. I have to let go of that fear of relationships.
Right. Exactly. And, to say, well, just because their relationship was like that doesn't mean mine has to be. I'm going to create something different. Right.
And what we're doing here with love assumption is we're consciously manifesting what we want. So if I am consciously manifesting all relationships in my life, therefore I'm not afraid of them going wrong.
Exactly, because you're steering the ship. You're in charge of it, right? You choose whether it goes wrong. You choose whether it not goes wrong, right? And to take that responsibility, and to realize that, and have that talk with yourself if you are worried about it. Think it through like I do. When I get worried about something, I stop and I'm like, okay, why am I really worried about this? Like, I know my thoughts great. all I need to do to create this is to think this. And then I start thinking that and I start creating that. And you know what I normally do, because I'm sure someone's going to ask, is whenever I think about something I'm manifesting, that's when I do my mental diet. So I don't like sit down and do like intentions 3 times a day or anything. I just listen to my thoughts as I go. And if I start thinking about it, then I do it. So like, for instance, when I was manifesting to move in with Andrew, that was like a hot topic for me and it was very important to me. And, you know, of course, like the whole Sunday blow up was fresh in my mind. So every time it came up, so Monday, there was a lot of intentions. Tuesday, there was a lot of intentions because I kept thinking about it, but rather than dwelling on the story I didn't want, I was forcing myself into my new intentions. And by like Wednesday, Thursday, like I was like doing it way less. And then by Saturday, I was just fighting my current reality of, you know, of Andrew looking at places for him right in front of me after, like, and of course I'm thinking, how insensitive. I'm like, Amanda, don't do that. You created this, you know? And so I was like, by that time I was calm about it. I was like, no, you know what? I know I'm the God of my reality. I know this is going to happen. And I'd reached that neutral place. And then that's when it happened. So, you know, there may be a lot of thoughts that need to go into it at first, you know, but that's okay. Every time you just think about it, you know, think about the situation, do your intentions, listen to your thoughts, go, do I really want to create that? And if the answer is no, put it to a new thought, no questioning, no anything. It's sticking on with what you want and, you know, taking your thoughts and analyzing them. Do I want that or do I not want that? You know?
Exactly. And I think when you want to see changes faster, just affirm throughout the day. Affirm throughout the day from that place of power is the most predominant thoughts that manifest. So affirm throughout the day, throughout the day, throughout the day. What I like to do is I like to record my affirmations and listen to them at night as well for me to see changes faster.
Exactly. The more energy you put to it, the quicker it's going to happen. And because your thoughts create, right? So,
and that's why we can do the mantras. I think we talked about mantras in the channel before, right?
Yes. And my course actually helps you to create a mantra to recreate any relationship as well. So, you know, it's for basically taking any relationship that you have that you don't like where it is and changing it. So yeah, create a mantra as well, you know, of when you've got your end goal clear, create that mantra, but you got to be clear on your end goal and you have to be 100% in on it and start changing the story about yourself and other people, right? You can't, if you're wishy-washy going, I want to move in, but I don't know where we're going to live. And I don't know what the commit, you know, when you're wishy-washy, you're going to get wishy-washy back, right?
No, exactly. That's why it's important to find the blocks. What is it that is causing the situation? Is it something that I think that he's thinking or he doesn't want? Then do your mantra around that.
Exactly.
And persist knowing that he has or she has no other choice but to reflect this thought back to me. My thoughts create. So that's what's going to happen.
Yep. That's 100% it.
Yeah. Again, it's happening now. It's happening now, right? Persistence. It's so important. Persistence. And it will happen. It's happening already. It's done.
That's right. Exactly. Well, we intend each and every one of you guys has an aha moment and gets a breakthrough in anything that you're creating right now, any relationship at all. And yeah, thank you so much for being here today, Erika.
You're so welcome, Amanda. It's always a pleasure. But yeah, I intend that all of you guys get something important from this video, this information. And yeah, you can have it all. You're powerful.
Yes. And thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye.